inaugural Fuel Richer Cup Series. Huge crash on the front straightaway to the line. Martinez to the line.
A season ago, the Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League concluded their season at Summit Point Raceway. This time, we're going to do it at Road Atlanta, the site of the final race of the season in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and the Petite Le Mans. Tonight, a little more Petite Le Mans than we're used to, 25-minute race with Kias, Mustangs, and MX-5s, and it's going to be the final race of the season before the drivers here begin their full-time, real-life racing efforts this season in the SCCA. Finian, welcome back after a couple nights of pain after getting some wisdom teeth removed, but good to have you back in the booth here as we get ready for the final race of the season for the DC region SCCA.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back, and what a like you were saying, what a track to have a final race at, then Road Atlanta. It's going to be a fun race here tonight. Relatively small grid, but still enough size in each of the three classes to have a good race.
Road Atlanta is a 2.54-mile racetrack with 12 corners around here, Finian. Lots of elevation change going downhill through the S's. A lot of racetracks have S's that go uphill or are flat, but now you're going to carry that momentum and use the gravity to your advantage going downhill, bouncing over the curbs, and sliding out over the turn 5 exit curb. Again, 12 corners around this racetrack, and drivers will have to use that draft, especially in the slower two classes, to be quick around here tonight. Let's take a look at our conditions for the evening as well. 71 in the air, 92 on the track, a little bit toasty, but all in all, relatively good conditions for the night. Partly cloudy skies and winds 6 miles an hour out of the north. Let's take a look at our class structure tonight. TCR with the Kia Optima is 375 horsepower from a 2-liter turbo engine, 3,000 pounds, and a front-wheel drive layout. Big bores, the Ford Mustangs, 325 horsepower from a 4.6-liter V8, 3,600 pounds from a rear-wheel drive layout, and finally, and last but not least, the Global Mazda MX-5 with 155 horsepower from an inline 4, 2,000 pounds, and a rear-wheel drive layout. The lightest and the most nimble of the three classes, but these things go together like milkshake and fries, Finian. It's a good combination of cars, and this is a great racetrack to hold the final race.
Yeah, indeed. And speaking with all talk of these classes, let's go over the point standings for all of them. Well, there's not much to talk about in the Kia. This is DJ Alessandrini. He's going to secure out the Kia Championship, so he's going to win that. Ken Seal will finish second, and Francois Brou is going to be racing it out for third. Back in the big bore class, Christopher Lapras, he secured that championship with Forrest Landy in second, Dave Fitzgerald in third. And then moving back to the MX-5, it's going to be Paul Darling leading over Clear Tierboff and Dennis Barrett. However, that's a lot closer because Paul Darling, from what I've seen, he's not in the server. However, yep. Clear Tierboff is, and he's tied with Dennis Barrett for second place. Yeah,
Paul Darling will not be able to make it tonight. Neither will Elias Roman. So we're missing a couple people that are important from each class. We're also missing DJ Alessandrini from the TCR category. He's running the Mustangs this week for a little fun challenge, and in practice, he was nearly a second quicker than points leader Christopher Lapras. So we'll keep an eye on DJ's progress tonight. And I think we got Dominic Mandiel in the booth with us again. Hey, Dominic, you got a copy?
You got me.
There you go. All right, welcome back, Dominic. Final race of the season at Road Atlanta. This racetrack is an absolute blast and a very large challenge to these drivers. What's unique about Road Atlanta compared to some other racetracks in the U.S.?
Mr. Carl, the story with Road Atlanta is definitely the elevation here. You're going to see as they do these laps that they're going to be climbing hills, they're going to be dropping into valleys, and there's going to be really, for the drivers, the challenge is going to be being able to see a lot of these blind apexes that come up as they crest these hills and making sure that they're using as many reference points as you can, because if you miss those apexes, there's a nice concrete wall there to meet you, so staying on line and being smooth is key here at Road Atlanta.
You mentioned the concrete walls. There is not a ton of runoff available in some corners of the racetrack, and close to the final corner, Finney, there's a big bridge there, and those walls close in on you over a blind crest, as Dominic mentioned, Finian. So balancing risk versus reward for some drivers, but some other guys are out here just for fun, like DJ Alessandrini. So are you expecting calmness tonight? Are you expecting chaos tonight? What's the general consensus in your mind?
I think it's going to be a pretty calm night. Again, slightly smaller fuel counts than what we're used to seeing, and then also it's the end of the season. So for the most part, most of the points battles have been kind of sorted out. So these guys aren't racing for too incredibly much. It's more just kind of a fun race to cap off the season.
And we're watching Francois Brou over the curbs and heading down the hill, and hopefully we'll have a new entrant tonight. A man by the name of Francis Castillo from the Dominican Republic was just joining the league as this session started, so hopefully he can join in on the fun. And he was watching on YouTube and actually wasn't a member of the SCCA, and that is one of the requirements to drive in this league. So he actually went out and got an SCCA membership this afternoon, so that is dedication. He's in the Dominican Republic. He can't use the SCCA membership, but he wants to race with these guys, and he's willing to do anything. So hopefully he makes it in here in time. But absolute dedication. So a couple minutes into qualifying already, and it's for the Kias and the Mustangs. And we're watching Francois Brou, but Lapras, Finian, that 0-4 car has been spot on all season. But he's in pretty good standing here in terms of the points. So is his night just go out here and have fun too?
Yeah, pretty much. I think this is just, a matter of surviving the 25 minutes, just trying to finish off the season on a good note. I mean, again, he's won the championship, so he's got that going for him.
Dominic, the multi-class interaction, something we've been talking about all year at different kinds of racetracks, including the Charlotte Roval last week, and that was a race full of attrition. Again, another small field size tonight. But Road Atlanta's got long straightaways. It's very much like Watkins Glen. So you expect multi-class passing to be easier here tonight, or maybe more difficult because of the blind corners?
So, Carl, I think here that the big advantage that Road Atlanta has is that the track surface is wide enough where you can do multi-car what's wide, unlike last week we saw with Charlotte and some of the other more narrow tracks. So I think that overtaking into some of these slower corners will definitely be easier, as well as the fact that I think you're able to see a lot further down the road and be able to calculate your approach speed and how much time you have to set up your move before you get to the car and hopefully make that move cleanly.
All right, so expecting to be able to make relatively easy passes here tonight. Again, the downhills into the final chicane. That's going to be an outbreaking spot for a lot of drivers. We've seen the brake rotors on these Mustangs glowing all season, using up their equipment even in these short races. But I expect tonight to be a really fun race. Again, only 25 minutes, so it's just as long as the qualifying session is. So there is definitely a sense of urgency. And I predict we're going to see a lot of aggression out of drivers, especially in the Mustang category. That class is the closest so far this week in terms of times. We have 4 drivers within a second right now. And I expect with everyone going out here just having fun, I think we might see less carefulness is how I'll put it. I think we might see some drivers putting it all out on the line and going for broke to get themselves a victory in the last race of the season. Again, a lot of these drivers going to start their season in the Sports Club of America in just a couple weeks. And this is a great place. You see Michael Monaghan take a crash at the bottom of the S's there. This is a great place to get a victory and get yourself set up for the season. But, Finney, we talk about these S's downhill. Very tricky technical section. You kind of have to thread the needle down here, and that's obviously a big challenge.
Yeah, indeed. It's really a rhythm section, and you got to be very careful. If you mess up really one corner, you can mess up the entire rest of that section and your lap in general. So it's going to be very, especially in these cars too, because they're not the most maneuverable machines other than maybe the MX-5. So if you mess up one part, you can really mess up the rest of the corners. You could potentially be going off track and into the wall. So you got to be very careful through the S's.
Actually, I want to go back and take a look at the replay from the roll bar of the driver of Dave Fitzgerald. And actually, let's ride up the hill with him here. And he hits the turn 3 curb, the tiger teeth on the right. And then as he comes over the crest here, he heads down the hill. The car loses balance. And watch his hands right here. Quick correction back to the left and back to the right to save that car before threading the needle down the hill. Excellent driving there, but it seems like these Mustangs are really on edge. And Dominic, obviously an open setup league, and I think we're going to see some people set these cars up a bit looser just to help the rotation around here. So I think you might expect us to have drivers have to have quicker hands tonight to catch those slides.
I definitely think so, Kyle. And when you get to those S's, especially where we have between turns 3 and 5, you really see how car control and being able to handle the beast that you're at the controls of is really going to come into play. Because, again, as we've been talking about throughout the season, the curbs also can upset the car a lot. So once you, especially after turn 5 where you get on that curb and the car wants to slide, you have to make sure you have your quick hands to be able to catch the car and keep it straight to set up for the next straightaway. So that's going to be really important for these drivers.
All right, we'll ride on board for a lap with David Alessi up through turns 1, 2, and now we're entering turn 3. Gotta get that curb. He missed his apex there a little bit. Now we head down towards turn number 4 and the S's down this long, winding section. Thread the needle through the curbs. Don't hit them too much. They're tall through here. Set yourself up all the way to the right and then back to the left for turn number 5. Up wide over the curb on exit. Careful of that sand trap. It's bumpy there. Down the back straightaway to turns 5 and turn 6. The dual right-hander complex here. A little bit of banking to help the car rotate. Curbs on the right and the left on exit. Don't slide out too wide. There's just a lot of grass there. Now to turn number 6. Get the car rotated down to second gear. Mash that throttle back up to speed. Now you're heading down to the chicane. He's got a great draft here from Dave Fitzgerald. You see, that's, I believe that's Francois Brou in the 16. Nope, who is that? It's Travis Trussell in the 140.
Yeah.
Making his way around. Thank you, Finian, for the correction. And heading down.
He's trying to put a lap in, actually, because he has not put on a time, and he's only got a few more minutes left to qualify.
Yeah, he's got to get that time in quickly, and now down to the braking zone into the chicane. You see a cloud coming over the racetrack now, cooling down the asphalt. And then you got to get back on the power in the right gear to get all the torque under the bridge, and then back down the hill here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And swinging out to the right for turn number 12 and back to the start-finish line. And Dominic, that's also a challenge, that final corner. Turn number 12, you're going downhill, and there's a tiny little rumble strip off to the exit, and then there's a massive concrete wall, so that's obviously a challenge too.
Absolutely, Kyle, and actually in the past few years, they've created more runoff there. With the original construction of this track, there was even less room for the cars to have to reduce their speed than what exists now, so it's really one that where you're coming down this hill and you're looking for the apex, you don't have much room for error there, so it's a really good idea to keep a nice tidy line all the way to the stripe here, even though it may be tempting to try to go 2, maybe 3 wide down that hill.
And Finian, we saw in the Grid Life series a couple weeks ago, they visited Road Atlanta. We saw nearly a pass for the win in the final corner. We're looking from above. It's wide. It's about 8 to 9 lanes wide, but there's really a pretty narrow angle that you can go in there to make that corner. So aggression in the final corner, worth it on the last lap, or you're okay with second and not crashing your car?
Well, on the last lap, I would say go for it. Especially again, this race, a lot of these guys don't have a lot to lose, so you might as well go for it. Obviously within reason, you don't just want to completely move the guy out of the way, but definitely, give him a little bit of a nudge, especially coming back to the line for the win.
Well, we're right on board with Sam Scott through the chicane, and then up the hill, and then down through turn number 12 again. And you can watch what Dominic was talking about. How there is more runoff there than there used to be, but it's still a very challenging corner. High speed, even in the MX-5, over 100 miles an hour, and he clips the curb on the right. But the MX-5 isn't completely on the edge of grip there, like the Kias and Mustangs will potentially be. They'll be going through there about 10 to 15 miles an hour faster. Then through turn 1, this is a very difficult corner, Finian. Setting that corner up right, and then a blind uphill to turn 2. I don't think there's a whole lot more challenging than spotting your lines through these corners.
Yeah, especially considering the amount of blind corners on this track. Especially out of turn 3 going down through the S's. That's a really terrifying corner, especially at the beginning, because you have no idea where the guys are next to you, behind you, and in front of you. Then
down to turn number 5, there's that big wide rumble strip on exit, and drivers will use every inch of that. I mean, really, rumble strips are meant to be a warning of the edge of the track, but when they make one about 10 feet wide, you're going to see drivers run all the way over to the edge of it, because that's fair. If it's paved, we're going to use it. That's what the drivers are going to say. And Sam Scott definitely used it. So he is the leader right now in the MX-5 category on track. Right behind him is Robbie Wilson in the 171. And guys, Robbie was quick in practice. I think we might see a first-time winner here tonight in the MX-5 class.
Yeah, indeed, he is looking very quick. We'll see these guys as they come through to put their first lap times down. But yeah, couldn't definitely see a new winner.
So about 9 minutes left in qualifying, and all that's left is just for these cars to qualify. The Kias and the Mustangs have made their laps. Greg Obadia will be sitting on pole with a 117.6. Actually, that's not correct. That's a 126.8. Timing glitch there. So 126.8 for Greg Obadia. Louis Alessi in second. Great qualifying effort for him. About a half a second off of Obadia's time. Then Lapras on pole. DJ Alessandrini did not lay down a time in qualifying, so starting from the rear, probably for fun, and we've seen DJ do that before and win races from a lot farther back. than P7 where he will start. So Sam Scott crosses the line, takes provisional pole for now. Natirbov in second. Robbie Wilson takes third. Rich DeMarco in fifth with Michael Shea right ahead of him. Draft, very important in qualifying. We see DeMarco run wide out in turn number 1, and once you get out wide there, it's so hard to get your car back on track.
Interesting that you say that the draft is important in qualifying, because Sam Scott, who put down the fastest time, he's actually ahead of the entire MX5 pack.
Yeah, I think there's definitely risk versus reward there with the draft. I think with a guy like Sam Scott, he's got pace already, and it might actually be a detriment to him to be behind other cars, because while it's great on the straightaways, if they're braking earlier than him or not getting on throttle as quick as him, you might see him actually get slowed down by those cars instead of speeding him up. So out by himself, he might be okay, although I'm curious to see what lap times these other guys run. Khalil Natirbov in the 19 has a great draft from Robbie Wilson on the back straight here, and he was only a 10th off of Sam Scott's pace on the last lap. So definitely potential for Natirbov to steal a pole away and other drivers behind as well. Take a look at our conditions. Again, they're going to constantly be changing, but just tick from 91 to 92, so we're going to be chasing that track time all day. You see the clouds in the sky, and as they come over, they will drastically shift the balance of these race cars. And you see, wow, look at the 171 of Wilson really charging the corner, as does Natirbov, and Khalil's going to run wide on exit. That'll invalidate this lap as he goes under the bridge. But the conditions will be changing. The grip levels will be something the drivers will have to be fighting all night. And again, we have about 7 minutes until we go racing for 25 minutes for the final round of the season. Again, here's another look at your track map, and kind of looks like you're pointing a finger right at that mileage number right there. You see Natirbov go off in turn number 1, so we'll not get to set a time this lap either. But Sam Scott has improved his time 0.2 to a 1:37.6.
Yeah, indeed, it seems like he's going to be the driver that everyone's chasing here, trying, ooh, Sam Scott, ooh, hard into the wall he goes. So he's going to have to get it back going. But yeah, solid lap in by him again, notably without the draft compared to everyone else who's pretty much in the slipstream.
Oh, you see him right, this is at the exit of turn number 5. Again, this is the curb that we were all talking about, that you got to be careful not to run over. And we'll ride on board down the hill here, and you can see how off balance he gets. Actually, we're right on board the roll bar here, so you can watch his hands as he hits this curb. Watch the hands. The car gets airborne, and just not a whole lot you can do, and instantly stalls the car when he gets to the bottom of that hill. So there's another look at it from another angle. Big jump, and it's really because that curb is raised up off the ground, and when you hit that, you're kind of sliding over it, so it bounces the car up in the air. Then when it lands, depending on how it lands, it can really throw the car off. So Dominic, curbs, we always talk about them and having to be aggressive over them, but are there places at Road Atlanta where you have to be more careful than other racetracks?
So, Carl, I think that the turn 3 to turn 5, the S's, is where the curbs can upset the cars the most, as we've seen cars on these onboards find that concrete wall. And I think, like you mentioned earlier, how wide the curbing is there, I think it's an invitation to use more of the track. But the drawback of that is that an invitation can also lead to missed apexes, and then as a result, not such a great run down that little straight there to the next turn. So they're gonna have to be careful about hitting the curbs too hard, or else it could have more catastrophic results than they were planning on.
Down the hill again, we'll watch Robbie Wilson through here. Gonna drill that curb on the left in turn 5, slide out to the right on exit, and you saw the car lose some balance there, but he managed to keep it straight. So we'll see drivers fighting their handling over that all evening. And another thing to note is that the paint is more slippery than the asphalt that it surrounds. So I think drivers will have to keep that in mind as well. Now through turn 6, out wide, there's a curb on exit here that's quite tall as well and can kind of hurt the drive off for some of these cars. And typically, using a lot of curb is mostly relegated to slow corners because you can use it to help rotate, but in fast corners it can send your wheels up off the ground. And you can't grip the racetrack when your wheels are in the air. So 5 minutes left in qualifying. Sam Scott is comfortably on pole by 0.3 of a second over Khalil Natirbov. Robbie Wilson sits in 3rd, DeMarco in 4th, Michael Shea 5th, Mark Wood 6th, and Thomas Lee in 7th place right now. Lee is in the draft right now of that number 19 in Natirbov, and I think we might see Lee set a best time here this time through. Again, you see the clouds continuing to come over the racetrack. And they're scattered clouds, so I don't think it's going to massively affect the temperature, but lap to lap we can see swings, and with the very temperature-sensitive tire model here with an iRacing is going to mean that you're going to feel it when it rises 5 or 6 degrees every couple laps. So you got to keep an eye on that grip. Thomas Lee comes on through, does improve his time to a 140.1, but it's not going to be quick enough to move up the board at all. Very tight midfield battle right now between Robbie Wilson, Rich DeMarco, and Michael Shea, all separated by just a couple tenths of a second. And Rich DeMarco's all out by himself. Again, our final round of the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA iRacing League. They put on a fantastic show all year. We started back at Watkins Glen a couple weeks ago. I think it was 6 weeks ago, or 6 or 7 weeks ago. And this is our second season with this group, and a slight class structure addition, or class structure change with the addition of the TCR Kia has been a welcome change and has brought some additional competition. But for the final race, again, we're missing a couple regulars due to the real race season starting up and people having other commitments. So I'm curious, Finian, do you think DJ Alessandrini is going to have any trouble getting by Lapras? Or, you know, I mean, he's starting at the rear, but DJ's got so much talent.
Yeah, indeed. I think he'd definitely be able to pull it off again. Relatively, because due to the class split, it's you only got to get around about 7 cars to get to the front. So I think it's definitely doable, especially with 25 minutes and the pace that he has. So definitely looking forward to that. Also, of note, Francis Castillo Romero, he's joined the server and he's joined the race. Unfortunately, won't be able to put down a lap. He's in the Kia class. So, he will be joining us here, so that's nice to see.
Yeah, and again, he was one of those drivers that found this series via YouTube. So just like the viewers out at home was watching these races and decided he wanted to be a part. So he went out and got an SCCA membership, and that's definitely something you should do if you're curious about either racing in the real world or racing in this series with an iRacing. We also want to extend a special thank you to OG Racing and Radial Tire Company for coming on board and sponsoring the series. And allowing this to exist, and their links are provided in the video description. So please go ahead and check them out, and they're great people to work with if you're in the SCCA and you need some tires. You head on over to Radial Tire, and OG Racing's got all sorts of equipment for you. Get yourself set up for the 2019 or 2020 season. So again, check the description for those links, as well as any other links to our Facebook, Twitter, and we should get our Discord link in there too. I don't have that provided, but we definitely should. And again, we got special things coming up next Wednesday. The SCCA is not racing, but Spec MX5 is, and we'll be broadcasting that on the Winding Road Magazine channel next Wednesday from Summit Point Raceway. So keep an eye out for that link. That'll go up tonight on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel. A minute left in qualifying here. There's Sam Scott rolling off the racetrack to driver's right, and he has returned back to the pits. I think he's done. Pretty close spread here, guys, between, I mean, only a couple tenths of a second separating each of the MX5 drivers, Finney, and that's been a tight field so far, but I'm especially interested in the Mustang big board category with how close everyone seems tonight.
Yeah, indeed, very close. Especially, I think it'll be a good fight to see how Christopher Lapras versus DJ Alessandrini, those pretty much the top 2 guys in that class as they're running. So definitely looking forward to seeing that, as well as the battle midfield between Monaghan, Sadiq, and Awasi.
20 seconds left in qualifying, and then we'll gird them up and go racing for 25 minutes to round out the end of the season. Here's another look at your track map. 12 corners around here, 2.5 miles around Road Atlanta. Tall and wide curbs, concrete walls, huge amounts of elevation change. This racetrack is one of the great historic race courses in the United States, and for that reason, it belongs on any racing schedule. And actually, I believe the IMSA actually owns this track now, Finian. So within the last year, they've actually purchased it, sure, and now it's sponsored by Michelin. So I would love to see this on the NASCAR schedule at some point. And I know NASCAR's done some testing here in the past. And Clear Tierboff is also reminding us via chat that it's competition school this weekend at Summit Point. And again, if you're not set up and ready to go, you can still go to the SCCA's website and sign up for that. And all other racing series this year. And we'd be remiss if we didn't also mention the Grid Life stuff that's coming up this season that hopefully we'll be able to manage to travel to and commentate for. So you should head over to Grid Life's website and get yourself signed up for Track Battle and other competitions that they hold there as well. So a minute left now in cooldown period as some of the Mazdas come on through. But looks like Sam Scott in the number 98 is going to sit on pole. No surprises there.
Yeah, great qualifying effort by him. Definitely pretty much expected that he would be there. But interesting to see what Cherboff and DeMarco have for him, and even Wilson if you want to throw him in there. What those guys got for Sam Scott.
I think Robbie Wilson's going to race better than he qualified. He was really quick in practice. Qualified 4th out of 7 MX-5s, but I think he'll be one to watch in the race. All right, 37 seconds left, so we're going to pull away from the ticker for a moment and look from high above Road Atlanta. Take one last look at our conditions on the night. 92 degrees still, so it looks like it's relatively stable here in the partly cloudy conditions over beautiful Road Atlanta. And again, we've talked about the track grip. It's going to be there tonight, although this racetrack is a bit bumpy in places, so I think the only grip that these drivers are going to be missing is when they're taking flight over the curbs. Time to go racing here at Road Atlanta for the final race of the season for the Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League. We got 5 Kias, we have 7 Mustangs, and 7 MX-5s for a total of 19 cars for this race.
Alright, so I'm kind of worried here because Greg Obedia, he left the server a little while back. I was expecting him to rejoin, but we're regretting now, and he's got 2 minutes to rejoin back, and he's currently not back yet, so if not, we will be missing our pole sitter for this race.
That would not be very fun for Obedia, but again...
and also it's a standing start.
Oh, that can't possibly be intentional, so that's going to be a fun one. And especially, and this is something we talked about a couple weeks ago, Finian, is the addition of stalling to iRacing's software the last couple weeks. And I know a lot of these drivers go for ultimate realism, so they're going to turn off the anti-stall aid provided for those that don't have clutch pedals. And that means that we might see a couple stalls here on the grid. All right, well, we're waiting for a couple more cars. Travis Trussell is one of them. Let's take a quick look at your starting grid on the night. It's going to be Greg Obedia, hopefully, in the number 66 Kia Optima on the inside of the front row. Louis Alessi in the number 43 on the outside row. Again, Greg Obedia disconnected from the server, has not come back. Francois Brou in the 69, third place, alongside Travis Trussell in the number 140 in fourth. And then it's going to also be Francis Castillo-Romero in the number 96, starting in fifth. Christopher Lapras will be on pole in the Mustangs alongside Michael Monaghan in the number 05. We'll let the rest of that scroll along the bottom of your screen here for a moment while we just wait for Travis Trussell and Greg Obedia to join. They're the last two we're waiting on to grid before we go racing here tonight.
Indeed, really interested in seeing the standing start work. Potential for these guys to stall. That would definitely be a nightmare, especially because these guys got to come through a turn. So some of the guys in the back-to-back might not be aware that some of the drivers up ahead have stalled. So that could be chaos too. Although I doubt with the amount of talent in this field that would occur.
I don't think Greg Obedia is going to make it. I don't think Travis Trussell is going to make it either. So two of the Kias are going to miss gridding here, Finian. Huge implications for that. And with that being said, the lights are on. We're ready to go racing. We're waiting for the green lights and a standing start here for the final race. Trussell and Obedia missed the start, but we're racing here at Road Atlanta for the final race of the 2019 Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League in the field. In a scramble down on the front straightaway, towards turn one, getting themselves sorted out. The Kia is already pulling away. There's Louis Alessi out front. Behind him, the Mustangs. Christopher Lapras gets a great jump over Michael Monaghan. Dave Fitzgerald is in the middle of a mess right now with DJ Alessandrini right behind as they head to turn three.
Alessandrini already moving up a spot on the start and trying to get more as he's on the back bumper of Dave Fitzgerald.
Down the hill as they head towards turn number 5. This was a trouble spot we saw earlier in qualifying. The Kia's making it through there okay right now. Francois Brou all over the rear bumper of Louis Alessi. There's Francis Castillo-Romero right in front of Christopher Lapras, but now he's pulling away. And there's DJ Alessandrini side by side with Dave Fitzgerald towards the rear of the Mustang category now as they head down to turn number 6 and 7.
And here they come onto the long back straightaway. Fitzgerald now looking up the inside of David Alessi. They're going to be side by side down the back straightaway. Sam
Scott leads the GMX5 category, but the battle right now is on for fourth in Big Board down the long back straightaway. For the lead, though, Francois Brou goes for it down towards the chicane. He's to the inside of Louis Alessi, outbreaks him. He'll take that spot away into the chicane. Just behind them, Christopher Lapras leads the Mustangs. Still Michael Monaghan in second, but that battle for fourth continues with Alessi, Fitzgerald, and Alessandrini as they head up the hill towards turn 12.
Yeah, in the MX-5, it's going to be Sam Scott leading Khalil Naturbov over Rich DeMarco, and those guys are fighting up for position.
DeMarco taking a look to the inside of Naturbov in turn number 12. This is a good passing opportunity if you're brave enough, but I think DeMarco will wait a little while. That Mustang battle growing increasingly interesting, Finian. DJ Alessandrini is stuck behind a couple of these cars. Now Fitzgerald goes to the inside of David Alessi up to the hill towards the top of turn number 3. And the longer DJ sits behind this, the shorter amount of time he's going to have to go chase down Lapras up front, who's lapping incredibly quickly right now. Down the hill again for the second time, and DJ's all over Fitzgerald. He's lost ground with David Alessi.
Yeah, and he's now trying to find a way around, but Alessandrini kind of struggling here. He's going to run on Fitzgerald. He's going to go to the outside heading to turn 5. Yeah,
Fitzgerald stayed over to driver's right and kept DJ from being able to make that move. Now they're going to be side by side into turn number 6. I expect a crossover move from DJ here. Here he comes up the inside. Fitzgerald tries to give him room, but looks like Alessandrini can't make that stick. Just up the road, though, we also have a battle. That's David Alessi all over Tala Sadiq. And that is going to be a battle for third in class.
Indeed, the Mustangs really putting on a great show right now. The closest battle on track right now between Sadiq and Alessi.
And Alessi's to driver's right, which means when they get down to the chicane, he's going to be not really in the best of positions, but he can trade that to the inside of the next corner. Behind him, DJ Alessandrini gets around Fitzgerald. He sets his sights on fourth up ahead as Alessi could not complete the pass. He's wide on exit and is going to lose a bunch of ground. That's going to bring DJ right back into the mix. No insane battles going on right now in GMX5. It's all in Big Bore as Alessandrini closes in on Alessi for fourth.
He's already there now as they head off into turn 1. Alessandrini's going to look to the inside, and Alessi's going to let him on by. So Alessandrini is now up into 4th in class.
Well, from 7th to 4th in the first couple laps, he is on the move right now. Takes a big chunk out of the turn 3. Tiger Teeth heads down the hill now. Up front.
Ooh, and Naturbov off track in the MX-5. Lost 2 positions now.
We'll go back and take a look. There's Robbie Wilson to his inside now, and Wilson's actually going to heed that spot. Might have a slowdown from a cut course, but let's take a look and see what happened. Was this down in turn number 1? Yep, just slid a little bit too wide and lost a couple spots here. You mentioned it, Finney. A good catch.
Yeah, tough break for him. He's just trying to hang in here and have a good finish, but now he's going to have to chase down Rich DeMarco in these upcoming laps.
David Alessi and Fitzgerald have found each other again, and it looks like that is that Tala Sadiq that has lost ground? Yes, it is, and it looks like he almost spun out of turn number 7. Let's go back and take a look, and looks like, did he get some help? No, just gets loose on corner exit, gets a power down too soon, and Alessandrini will get 3rd place away as Sadiq got loose.
Yeah, and Sadiq did a great job of not hitting the wall. He got very close to it, but had some great car control. Up
front in the Kias, Francois Brou got run down by Louis Alessi. We might have a pass for the lead here in a moment. Alessi's all over Brou for the lead.
Yeah, these guys are not letting each other go at all. They're constantly battling up here for position. This battle is not done yet as we're only 5 minutes into this race.
Those front-wheel drive layout cars really struggling to get themselves turned in. Battles all over the racetrack. Let's head back briefly to Big Bore. David Alessi has lost some ground to Tala Sadiq. And then back in GMX5, Robbie Wilson is under attack from Michael Shea in the number 78 MX5. And right behind him, you see that's Travis Trussell in the 140 who missed the start and is currently 1 lap down from the leaders.
Yeah, nice to see him out here, though, running some laps in between. He's got a long way to go up through the field.
Shea loose in turn number 3. And Rich DeMarco off track in the 461. He's spun at the top of the hill.
Oh, what on earth happened to him?
And this might has just been getting off balance. And
yeah, he caught some grass on entry.
Oh, yeah, that just catches the grass and slips. And Dominic, that's got to be a frustrating thing to clip the grass on corner entry. I mean, that's just one of those things. It's just driver error, but it's a big mistake for Rich DeMarco.
Absolutely, and drop wheels are something that drivers try their best to avoid, and sometimes just based on what they're doing up front, putting their eyes forward on the competitors, it's something that happens. But the important thing is to collect yourself back up and be able to mount the charge back, because even though it can hinder your progress, you can still recover and get right back up there into the action.
Check back in briefly with DJ Alessandrini in the number 191 Big Bore car. His last lap time, let's read it this time through. It's going to be a 1:32.3. The leader, Christopher Lapras, went a 1:33.0, so 8/10 quicker than the leader for Alessandrini this time through. He's got plenty of time to get there. All he's going to do is dispatch Michael Monaghan. He's all over the rear bumper of that 05 car through turn 3. We'll see if he makes a move down at the bottom of the hill here.
I think he's going to try. If anything, he's going to have to set it up in turn 6 and 7 to make the pass.
Who excellently clips the curb on the right. Not quite enough to upset the car, but enough to help it rotate through turn number 5 now. Over wide on the curb on exit. It's going to follow Monaghan down the straights. These cars punch a huge hole in the air. They can use that draft quite effectively, almost as much as the MX-5s. Now down. Ooh, looks like Monaghan overdrove the corner down into turn number 6. That's going to give DJ a great opportunity to set him up down the back straightaway as Monaghan slips again in turn 7.
Yeah, and now Sandrini's got a good run now out of 7, but does he have enough time to, or actually, he's too close to really get a good suck up to him, but here he's going to try on Monaghan.
Yeah, here he comes now. He's got a good run. He's going to move over to the left, and I don't think Monaghan's even going to bother defending. He's going to give him the line as they head down to the chicane. Now it's an out-braking race. Who can brake the latest? Who's going to make this work the best? And DJ's later on the brakes, harder on the brakes. See the rotors glowing in the left front of that car. Slips over the curb, and DJ's up to second.
Solid driving out of the 191 up into second place. Now going to set his sight on the class leader, Christopher Lapras.
And at the rate he's going, Lapras last time through ran a 1:32.7. DJ ran a 1:32.7 as well, but that was with passing a car. So Alessandrini is catching the leader. It's only a matter of time. Other battles on the racetrack, checking around. Looks like the MX-5s are separated by a couple tenths of a second. Robbie Wilson in second place. Remember, he started 4th. I said that he would probably race better than he qualified, and he looks like he's showing that so far.
Yeah, indeed, solid job. Well, he's 4 seconds behind the leader, so he's going to have to really start to close in that gap.
And that's leader is Sam Scott, who is not the quickest car on track at the moment, but is quicker overall. Let's see. Let's check back in with Tala Sadiq and David Alessi. These guys have been going at it for a couple laps in Big Bore. They've lost some ground to Dave Fitzgerald in the 91 Mustang. And both Sadiq and Alessi have made a couple mistakes so far, but Alessi trying to track down that number 18 once again.
Yeah, he's starting to develop a run, though, just not enough to make the pass. Although Sadiq got very loose off of turn 7, and now Alessi has a chance to make a run.
In TCR, it's Brew, Alessi, and Castillo Romero. Alessi is 1.4 back. Castillo Romero is 11 seconds back here early at Road Atlanta. 15 minutes ago, we're 10 minutes into this race. We've seen some battles in every single class, but the closest one right now in Big Bore for 5th place. Now we're going to have to crest the hill, and Dave Fitzgerald's a tad wide on exit. He's going to lose some ground and bring Sadiq and Alessi right back into this mix, making a battle for 4th place now.
Yeah, indeed, a very tough battle. We'll see if Sadiq even tries to look up the inside of Fitzgerald in turn 1. He is up the inside.
That's a tough pass to make, but it did force Fitzgerald to outbrake himself a tad and miss his apex. So will Sadiq take a look to the inside in turn 3? Not close enough to do it. What about David Alessi? He's sizing both these guys up right now. Where does he go in all this? Does he wait? Dominic, does he wait for these two guys to get together, or do you want to pass them one at a time?
So I think that if you can make it a package deal and get both of them at the same time, that's the most optimal thing. Sometimes a driver has to basically get what they can take and try to pick them off one at a time. And with how close these two are running, I think that trying to do it one at a time would be best, because one miscalculated move by the following driver and it could jeopardize all 3 of their races.
Absolutely. So we always got to be careful running in tight groups like this, especially with these long braking zones. The Mustang's brakes are not really the best in the racing business, so that means the braking zones are long. There's a lot of variation in braking points with drivers using threshold braking techniques. So this continues to be the closest battle on the racetrack, with the exception of the one for the lead in Big Bore.
Yeah.
DJ Alessandrini has caught Lapras, and we've seen Alessandrini be quick in every single car he's driven, including the Mustang. Here he comes to the inside for the lead.
Yeah, indeed, I was watching Alessandrini get a big run on Lapras as they were on the back straight, and you saw Lapras just pinching Alessandrini off on the final corner. He's not going to give it up without a fight.
Alessandrini is all over the rear bumper, kind of dogging Lapras, maybe trying to force him into a mistake by getting in the mirror. But Lapras and Alessandrini are relatively close on pace. I know Alessandrini's best lap is a tad quicker, but with the car in front of you, it's very difficult to hit your marks. Very difficult to see where you're going. But now they head down the hill, and Alessandrini is going to carry this momentum. He's such a great momentum driver. And over the curbs now, he's so close to the rear bumper of that 0-4 car for the lead.
Yeah, he has to be careful that Lapras doesn't make a mistake, otherwise he's going to get involved with it quickly being that close.
Down the back straightaway, and here's a look. Wow, DJ hard on the brakes. He got so close to the back bumper of Lapras, and you mentioned it, Fanine. You got to be careful not to rear end him, but now he's going to have a fantastic run onto the back straightaway. About 2/10 back. Excuse me. He'll be close enough to draft up.
Yeah, indeed. Also behind little with Sadiq and Fitzgerald, there's a fantastic battle going on between them.
We're going to keep an eye on the lead for now because it might change down here. Then we'll go back and take a look at the battle between Sadiq and Fitzgerald. Here's a look. Here comes DJ. He's going to try to throw it down to the inside. Can't quite get on the brakes late enough to make that move work, but he's probably going to set him up for corner exit now. Here he comes. A great run out of this corner up the hill. And Sadiq and Fitzgerald side by side. We're almost 3 wide for a moment. David Alessi's to the inside of Fitzgerald. Almost makes a contact there. But it looks like Alessi and Fitzgerald are going to trade spots, and Sadiq is going to get up one. To move the 18 up to 4.
In turn 1, Alessandrini to the inside of Lapras.
And up to the top of the hill, Lapras hangs on. Lapras is doing a fantastic job defending from Alessandrini. This is no easy task.
Yeah, indeed. He saw that Alessandrini didn't have many problems with most drivers until he got to Lapras. Lapras really giving him a run for his money, and they're actually catching him X5 traffic here, so this is going to get interesting. Yeah,
lap traffic up ahead. They're going to catch him in okay spots, considering it's a straightaway. But DJ looks to the left, and looks like Lapras is going to have to give him space here. Now watch the crossover move. DJ is going to set this up perfectly here. Look, he's going to turn in a little bit later, and now he's going to have a fantastic run into turn 7. Can't quite do it here, so we'll try to set him up. And looks like Lapras locked up a little bit and let DJ get to his inside, but DJ still can't complete that pass, which goes to show how hard Lapras is driving.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like they're going to be able to navigate this traffic without much of a problem. And they don't really have any more traffic up the road other than those MX-5s there.
Again, a pretty light field tonight traffic-wise, so it's going to make it easier for the class leaders. You see Monaghan in the background getting by that car. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup there, but now DJ's still putting pressure on. We have 11 minutes to go. He's got a fantastic run. Here he comes. He's going to carry that run all the way to the inside in turn number 12, and he should easily have this position going the short way around. Can Lapras do anything about it, though? Is he going to try to cross him over, or will he stick to the outside? Looks like he's going to stick to the outside lane. Driver's left. DJ is clear, but not moving over. He's protecting that spot. Both hard on the binders for turn 1, and Lapras going to try to make a run up to turn 3, and DJ gives him the space, but clears Lapras for the lead.
Yeah, slams the door shut, and Alessandrini's going to defend the lead now. We'll see if Lapras now has a shot of catching back Alessandrini. He'll be using the draft on the back straightaway to his advantage.
So Lapras has to keep Alessandrini close if he wants a chance to win this. I think DJ's a tad quicker, so Lapras has to be within draft range to be able to hold on to this fight. Michael Monaghan in the background had closed in the last couple laps with that battle happening. Battle for third in GMX5 to Tierboff and Michael Shea. And right behind him, there's Rich DeMarco, who has recovered from his spin and is about to make a pass on the 78.
Yeah, it looks like Shea is not going to put up much of a fight. And I'll move DeMarco up.
So DeMarco heads to the inside. He'll take that spot away easily. Travis Trussell has retired. Greg Obadia did not start the race, unfortunately. We'll head back up to Big Bore, and Alessandrini didn't really pull away yet. He's got Lapras still right on his bumper. But I don't think Lapras is able to put the same amount of pressure on Alessandrini as Alessandrini did on him. But the battle for fourth in this category still raging strong. Sadiq, Fitzgerald, and Alessi separated by just a couple tenths of a second.
Yeah, they're still going at it here. Sadiq leading over Fitzgerald. And then Fitzgerald over Alessi. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th in the class. And we saw they were almost 3 wide a few laps ago, so definitely has a chance of getting as crazy as it was again.
Jimmy Saffel in the number 48 Mustang has not really had a fantastic night so far, lapping in 7th, which is last in class. about 9 seconds away from David Alessi. So not a great race for Jimmy Saffel, but the battle continues to be up the road. Meanwhile, no updates on TCR. It's still Brew, Alessi, and Castillo Romero separated by a couple seconds apiece. Sadiq slips in turn 3. There's some big damage on the rear bumper of that 18 car, Finian. And oh, Fitzgerald knocks him off the racetrack to the side. That's going to be a slowdown for Sadiq.
Yeah, he's going to have to choose where he wants to serve it. I think he's going to serve it on the straightaway here, and that's going to allow Louis Alessi now to get to the inside of him.
Yeah, let's take another look at that before we pass judgment here, but side-by-side down through the S's typically doesn't work, and that's not a great angle because of the trees, and I think Sadiq really just tried to turn in to make the corner, and you just really can't fit 2 cars down here without really making incidents.
Oh, Sadiq sideways out of turn 7. He saved it, but he got very loose.
Yeah, oh wow, almost crashed it out of turn 7. Dominic, the S is a very tricky part of the racetrack, but is it acceptable to run side-by-side through there?
I think so, Kyle, and as long as you're aware of where your competitor is, I think you can both make it work. Again, both of you are running the risk of running over a curb and having your car inadvertently slide into the other, and so that's sort of the cards, and the hand that you play is going to be what's going to allow you to get through that corner clean. But cars, if both are aware, can pull off going side-by-side through some of these snaky parts of the track.
Yeah, Finian, that kind of reminds me of the bus stop at Watkins Glen in the same way that you can run side-by-side through there, but it takes a lot of talent and it takes a lot of situational awareness. And I think both Fitzgerald and Sadiq kind of, they just kind of were going for the same spot on the racetrack, which happens, and I would call that a racing incident.
Yeah, indeed. Looking at the MX-5 battle, looks like Wilson's been reeling in Sam Scott at a slow but steady pace, so that battle's going to start heating up within a few laps.
And behind that, Rich DeMarco is under fire from Michael Shea in the 78, but Shea can't get it done. These two have been going at it the whole race. We have under 7 minutes to go, so we're getting down to crunch time here, and Fitzgerald and Alessi and Big Bore have been continuing to battle, and Fitzgerald runs a tick wide. Alessi's trying to set him up on the back straight. Six and a half minutes to go, and it's the final round of the season for the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA iRacing League here from Road Atlanta. It's been a good one so far. We've seen battles in each and every class. But right now, battle's on for 4th. Dave Fitzgerald in the 91 Mustang under fire from the Blue Angels sponsored 34. And Alessi takes a look to the inside, gets out of the mirror of Fitzgerald. Dominic, that's a pretty interesting strategy, just to move over to the side with no intention of passing, but just to get out of the mirror of the driver in front.
It is, and we've also seen in road racing how sometimes if a driver's been following behind another for a while, their radiator and their brakes and everything starts to get very hot, and so moving over a little bit allows them that little bit of cooling and allows the gauges to go down a little bit in order to remount that attack. And it is an interesting tactic because after filling their mirrors for a while, you let them know, you know, you're now outside their line of vision in that regard, so it's something that they may not expect, and it can give you an advantage.
And we saw Dave Fitzgerald get really sideways heading up towards turn number 3.
Ooh, still sideways in the middle of the S's.
He is wheeling that car right now. We're right on board here for a moment. And he's definitely pushing the car.
Oh, and Sadiq just went over, went flying through the air for a second there. He's trying to make up some time, and these guys are going to be side by side, definitely on the back straightaway here.
These guys have been all over each other for the whole race, and this is a great battle to watch. One of my personal favorite cars within the iRacing service is these FR500 Mustang GT cars. There's the blast, you can lean on each other. They're a great GT road racing car and a good speed to not really have to worry too much about aerodynamic efficiency or anything like that. So they put on good racing, but now David Alessi's putting the pressure on Fitzgerald, and as Dominic mentioned, maybe trying to cool the brakes. They're pretty red hot in that car when he gets to the braking zone, but now he looks to the inside. He might have the spot here if he outbrakes Fitzgerald, and looks like he will down into the chicane.
Yeah, and Fitzgerald going to try to do a crossover. Can't get it done, and Sadiq now is all over Fitzgerald, and this is really going to start heating up on the front straightaway as well.
Fitzgerald gets loose down into turn number 12. Sadiq trying to put pressure on him. This group of 3 is all battling for 4th in class. 4.5 minutes to go in this race. Francois Brou continues to lead in TCR by 7 seconds over Louis Alessi. DJ Alessandrini up in front in the big board by 1.3 seconds, and Sam Scott leading by 2.3 in GMX5. And last time through was nearly a second quicker than Robbie Wilson. Sadiq and Fitzgerald continue to fight, dog fighting each other, throwing blocks and getting really aggressive back here, but Alessi starting to gap those two behind.
Yeah, indeed, Fitzgerald and Leslie almost came together at the top of the hill, able to avoid each other. Now they're going to have to chase down David Alessi to prevent him from getting away.
All about using the draft here on these long straightaways to be the most efficient with your speed. And Khalil Natirbov and Rich DeMarco battling for a position, and it looks like they're going to be side by side through the chicane. Out of the corner, it's going to be a drag race up the hill. Not a whole lot of torque in these cars to carry them up the hill, but it looks like now Rich DeMarco will win that battle. But who will win the war with only 3 minutes left to go?
Yeah, we'll find out. These guys have been going back and forth for a while as well. They're fighting for third in class. Now Natirbov looking to the inside as they head off into one.
It looks like he'll grab that spot back, but does DeMarco try to just carry the momentum around the outside? He does. A great run up towards turn number 3. Who's going to get there first? Be able to take the chicane. Natirbov backs off. DeMarco will grab that position for now. Sadiq and Fitzgerald have traded spots, so Fitzgerald has lost a couple positions, back down to 6th, and he's loose again, lighting up those rear tires, trying to hold on to that car.
So when I was looking back up at turn 3 when we were just looking at DeMarco and Natirbov, I saw this puff of smoke, and I was kind of curious as to where that came from. And it came from Robbie Wilson, who spun out of the top of the hill, and he lost a lot of time to Sam Scott.
Yes, let's go back and take a look at that real quick. And here's the spin, and then this is just, he just runs a tick wide, gets up on the curb, bounces along it, and just gets behind in the steering and loops it at the top of the hill. So great catch, Finian, but Robbie Wilson was chasing down Sam Scott, but lost a bunch of ground, and that chance for a victory has gone away very quickly. All right, well, that battle in Big Bore between Alessi, Sadiq, and Fitzgerald has kind of fizzled out. There are about a couple seconds between each driver, and right in the background, there is your TCR leader, Francois Brou, in the number 69 Mobile 1 car. And he's working his way through Big Bore. And again, a minute and 54 seconds to go. I expect next time through to be the white flag in the air for these cars. Louis Alessi too far back to do anything unless Brou makes a mistake. We're right on board with Brou for a moment.
Indeed, great deal by him. I saw him and Alessi having a good scrap for position, but it looks like Brou was just able to get down and get to business as he was able to bring the gap between them to 7.7 seconds.
And Francois Brou has been so good this season and had a couple outstanding races, but one guy that's probably missing an opportunity here is Greg Obeidi on the 66, who ended up missing this race. I remember back to New Jersey Motorsports Park, he led a significant portion of that race before sliding off track and losing the lead. But now, Francois Brou in the 69, he comes across the line. White flag is going to be in the air one more time around Road Atlanta and one more time around to conclude the season here for the DC Region SCCA. Francois Brou leads in TCR. Alessandrini leads by 1.2 in Big Bore, and Sam Scott leads by 12 seconds in GMX5.
Yeah, I think Sam Scott is definitely God. I'm still curious about between Alessandrini and Lapper, especially as Alessandrini is going to be working through some traffic here.
Alessandrini's got Michael Shea and Khalil Natirbov to work through, and he's going to head to driver's left. And just behind is Lapras. He's got some right front damage that we haven't seen. We didn't see Lapras collect, so he had a run-in with somebody, and now he's going to have to go 3 wide in the grass to get around those MX-5s, and he does. A spectacular move there. Natirbov almost locks up getting in to the chicane, but Lapras, that was an incredible move by the 04 car, but it's still going to be not enough to get back to Alessandrini. 1.4 seconds up to him as they take their white flag. Meanwhile, Francois Brou in the 69 Kia, he's got a couple more corners to go before picking up a victory on the season. This guy is so talented, but it's hard to be overshadowed by Ken Houseal and DJ Alessandrini all season long, but when you get those guys out of the mix, Francois Brou is the best of the rest. He'll come out of the final corner. He'll win here at Road Atlanta and pick up a victory at the end of the season and be victorious here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. Behind them, you see in the background, that's David Alessi coming on through. That's going to be for 4th in class. Vitala Sadiq and Dave Fitzgerald coming home in 6th. And the drivers left. There are not a whole lot of drivers left on the racetrack that are still competing. There's a Luis Alessi has come through. Francis Castillo Romero is going to come back, and he'll finish on the podium in TCR. But where is leader DJ Alessandrini and Mustangs? On the back straight.
Yeah, they're on the back straightaway, and I think he's got this as well as Sam Scott, who's got a fantastic lead ahead of the rest of them. He's going to come home across the line in first.
Sam Scott is on the back straightaway now, just ahead of the Mustangs. And he's going to come on through and take a victory here in GMX5. And it's been a great season for Sam Scott. But how about Robbie Wilson in that 171 as you see the leaders and Big Board go on through. Robbie Wilson, even with a spin, still a good race for him. But DJ Alessandrini comes out of the final corner, turn number 12. You can put him in a go-kart, you can put him in a shopping cart, you can put him in an F1 car. DJ Alessandrini wins here at Road Atlanta in his first start in the Mustang this season. Lapras comes home second with some right front damage. Michael Monaghan is somewhere. He'll finish sometime today in the number 05 coming out of turn number 12. He comes on through, takes the podium. David Alessi has already come through. And that should, as we got a couple more MX-5s coming through. There's Michael Shea, Rich DeMarco, Mark Wood. They've all come on through. And checkered flag has waved for everyone on the racetrack. But man, what a race we saw. Brew, Alessandrini, and Sam Scott picking up victories. Let's take a look at your results here tonight. Francois Brew in the 69 TCR car. Luis Alessi, Francis Castillo-Romero got through the race, guys. That's for a first start. That's not bad for Francis Castillo-Romero. DJ Alessandrini wins over Christopher Lapras in the 04. Then Sam Scott and Robbie Wilson, including Tierboff, sweep the podium for GMX5. But Finian, I'm impressed with Castillo-Romero's performance. You know, didn't light the world on fire, but his first race with this group, keeping it on the racetrack is good enough for me.
Yeah, indeed, and considering the fact that he had no practice or any qualifying at all, just completely went into it blind. Good effort from him.
Let you enjoy the positions here. Then, of course, Travis Trussell in 4th in TCR, 13 laps down. And then Greg Obadia in the number 66 car never managed to start the race. So that is going to do it for now. We're going to talk to your winners and your champions in just a moment, so stay with us. We will be right back.
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces, and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres, but was too specialized to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys work so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so high resolution, we capture all the detail that's necessary so that the tracks are just like the real thing. With our new mesh, we can now represent cars using smooth, convex hulls, which grouped together form the chassis, the bodywork, and all the other parts of the car. The new shapes are a much closer fit to the shape of the real car. During impacts, the shapes can deform according to the damage, and eventually they can break off as separate objects. All the parts, like wings, hoods, and wheels, can also hang from their joints, flapping and vibrating until they eventually snap off. All these changes are going to add a whole new level of realism to our races. If you want to find out more, please visit iRacing.com and check out my blog post for lots more details.
Hi, my name is Greg Hill. I'm the Vice President of Art and Production here at iRacing. This damage project that we've been discussing is certainly a project that involved all hands on deck to pull off. We've got a rather sizable number of cars in our portfolio, and not all of these cars have been built with this dynamic damage system in mind. So what we had to do is one by one go through our race cars, and we had a team of 3 artists, a highly technical modeler, our technical art director, and our associate art director. All took on each car one at a time, and the work involved was researching that car, researching what would happen to that car if it were in a crash, depending on the forces involved in the crash, how severely it would be damaged, what parts might come off, what those pieces might look like when they're removed, what it would look like where the car has areas exposed that were previously covered by bodywork. So they had to do a lot of modeling to each race car, and they had to do a lot of work to essentially set up how the car would react to forces. So essentially setting the strength of the materials. What kind of force would it take to rip off the side pod, for example? Or under what circumstances would this nose cone get ripped off of a car? Or under which would it remain, but just be badly damaged? But all said, it's been a lot of work, but seeing the car models interact with the physics system and the new crash dynamics is really exciting and really cool to see, and definitely makes all that hard work worth it.
Hi, my name is Jose Diaz. I'm a visual effects artist at iRacing. I specialize in particle effects ranging from fireworks to water fountains, debris, crash, impacts, all in the service of improving the driving experience. So you have the main sort of new damage model that Richard's been working on. So that takes into consideration all the mounts and the chassis from the cars and which materials they are. And he's making all the calculations that tell you, like, okay, it got hit from this one side and the strength of that impact is this certain amount of values. If you hit something, that means that this mount gets off, something breaks. This gets added on top of that to sort of complement what is happening there with things that you would see in real life when a car crashes. So typically in a car crash, you will see all these little particles of dust, metal, scratches that will take all that force and momentum and kind of explode in a way. And it's all being driven by how fast the car was coming, how hard the impact was against what. That will give you that sense of like, man, that person really crashed hard, or oh, it was just a small bump.
Hi, my name is Chris Lurch. I'm one of the vehicle dynamicists here at iRacing. Our role in the collision project is to tune the collision properties of each and every car to ensure that they behave in wrecks as a real car would. And we've spent quite a bit of time going through literature from the automotive industry on the subject to make sure that we have panels that deform the way they're supposed to, both temporarily and permanently, that pieces that don't deform but rather just break at appropriate times in appropriate ways. The cars are absorbing energy the way they should and aren't sort of bouncing off the walls in crazy ways. The major properties that we look at are stiffnesses, which is how much a piece of the car deforms when a load is applied to it. And then we look at a couple of limits. One is the force limit beyond which the piece deforms permanently. And then the second limit that we look at is the brake limit, the force limit beyond which the piece will simply break. And then we also will look at damping, which is how much the piece absorbs energy versus how much it takes like a spring and can absorb as potential energy and then rebound back out like a basketball would.
Welcome back live to Sim TV. We're now here with your overall winner, Francois Brou, and the driver of the number 69 TCR car. Francois, an excellent performance today. A slightly smaller field, but man, you just drove away and won that thing with confidence and just with a 7.5 second lead. How'd you do it this afternoon?
Well, actually, I would like to thank DJ and Ken for not showing up. So they left the door open for me. But no, it was a small field, but it was quite competitive with Lewis right off the bat. Qualifying and practice, I was getting tense from the battle. And but I had few things and trick in my sleeve, and that's why I tried really to move early. And I had really a low wing this time, so it was tricky to drive in corners, the light rear, but it did it. And then after that, it was consistency and tried not to make any mistake at all.
This season was a good one for you, and actually, I don't have the stats on top of my head. So is this your first victory this season?
Yes, it's my first victory. I had the second place in New Jersey, and I had a third place last week in Charlotte. But I was getting closer. Of course, Ken and DJ are untouchable for me right now. It's going to take a lot of time for me, but I was getting there. I'm consistent, and actually, I'm the cleanest driver because my incidence rating is almost half of everybody else.
Yeah, it's been a great season for you, Francois, and we've been following your progress this whole season. You have definitely gotten quicker, and those results have come. We want to wish you a huge congratulations for the victory, and hopefully we'll see you back in the future. And what are the plans for the SCCA racing this year and for 2019?
For me, I used to do a lot, but 9 years ago things stopped, and I wish I can go back, but it's going to be e-racing for me, and showing up to support my friends and Greg and others on the track. So not real racing for me. I'm going to have to wait some years before, but definitely it always been my goal for decades. So thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, and have a great season, and enjoy the summer months coming up. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks a lot.
Let's talk to Louis Alessi next, driver the number 43, who came home in second place. And we haven't talked to you all season. This is the first, I think this is the first time we've talked to you, Louis, but a great race today. You kept very competitive with Francois throughout the whole race in that number 43. Walk us through tonight and your season.
Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's been fun. That's the main thing for me, is being fun. And it's been a challenge in the Kia, but it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, the first lap, I got was a little hesitant on the cold tires, and Francois got me and pulled away. But it was a fun race.
All throughout the season, we've noticed that the level of competition in Kia has been second to none. But in terms of the real-world stuff this season, obviously SCCA members, what are your plans for 2019?
Well, for me, I run an ITA Honda CRX, and I plan to race it, maybe a little bit in ITA, and we have our new bracket racing group, which I've been running in, and that's a lot of fun for mixed class cars. So it's that's what I plan to focus on.
Have you learned anything this season from driving the Kia that you can transfer over to your real life racing, or vice versa, or any of that? Is there any kind of things that you can carry over, whether it be strategic or whether it be driving style wise, any of those things?
Oh, I think definitely not so much in the Kia because it's so powerful, but I raced a Jetta a lot in another league, and it's very similar to my CRX. So yeah, it's a lot of similarities, which I get to practice, the front wheel drive.
All right, well, it was fun watching you race this season, Louis, and we wish you the best in your 2019 endeavors, and hopefully we'll see you back here in the future. Well, thanks for talking to us.
Hey, thanks, guys. Hey, y'all did a great job all year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I think next we're going to talk to, how about we talk to our GMX5 winner, Finney. We'll grab Sam Scott, driver the number 98 MX5. Sam, a great race for you today. Close quarters there with Robbie Wilson. He was hunting you down, but he spun towards the end. But all in all, a great season for you, and you're going to cap it off with a victory here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. It was a really fun race and season with these guys. Nice to be out front for once, but definitely felt the pressure from Robbie there at the end, or for a while, actually. I was kind of worried about how fast he was catching up, but I guess something happened to him at the end, unfortunately. Would have been a fun battle.
Three classes to choose from this season, and you stuck with the MX-5 for familiarity reasons, for the competition reasons. What made you choose the MX-5 and why?
A little bit of both. I'm a big Miata fanboy all around, so it's kind of hard to break from what I know. But also great competition in this league and this class. So.
And for 2019, any real-world racing plans with the SCCA? Anything else going on over there with the Sam Scott fan club?
Yeah, actually, I'm doing the DC Regions competition school this weekend, so I'll be hopefully running Spec Miata this year.
Excellent, Sam. We want to thank you for talking to us, and good luck this season in all your 2019 endeavors, and hopefully we'll see you back here.
Will do. Thank you very much.
All right, I think next we're going to talk to, let's see if we can pull up, how about Christopher Lapras, our Mustang champion. There he is, Christopher Lapras, driving the number 04 Mustang. Well, it wasn't a victory tonight, it was a second place, but seconds would be good enough for you to lock up a championship, Chris, and a very competitive season, but you just dominated most of those races. Walk us through not only tonight, but your whole season, and how do you look back on 2019 with the DC Region SCCA?
No, it was definitely a great season. Bunch of good guys, clean racing, good racing. Last race, I pretty much gave it all I have, but DJ is extremely fast. Kind of kept up with him towards the end, but wasn't making any ground. Had a couple pucker moments. Got some luck that I didn't crash, and finished out pretty good.
I asked Sam Scott the same question, but what was the reason you chose the Mustang category versus the Kia or the MX-5? Personal preference, competition reasons? What was your reason for going with that?
No, I just kind of started iRacing mid-December and ran with the Philly region a little bit and then Miata, and just figured I'd venture out a little bit and try the Mustang. So try something new.
Excellent. Any 2019 plans with the SCCA, Chris?
Yeah, gonna compete in autocross. Just signed up for the NJ Pro in B Street. Sold out in 7 minutes. So yeah, looking to do a little bit of autocrossing.
All right. Well, we want to wish you huge congratulations, not only on your multiple victories this season, but your championship. And we hope to see you back here again, Chris. It's been a pleasure watching you just absolutely dominate some of these races. And we'll see what the class structures hold in the fall, but we hope to see you back here.
Thank you, guys. It was great.
All right. Have a good night, Chris. Okay, I think we're running out of people to talk to, but how about we talk to DJ Alessandrini, and who also happens to be our Kia champion by a not very small margin. DJ, we could put you in a shopping cart, you'd win a race. We could put you in a 747, you'd be the quickest one to fly there. You know, you could probably plant a tree that grows faster than everybody else. But this season was another fantastic one for you, and this continues your sweep of every class that you've entered on SimTV. You've won. So I guess we're your good luck charm.
Like,
we should come to your races.
I feel like I'm setting up something where I feel like I have to keep doing this. I've like dug myself into a hole.
I think so. I think you got to keep coming back now.
Yeah, I gotta win that MX-5 spec thing just so I can keep that streak going.
But all jokes aside, DJ, it's been a great season, and besides this race where you just jumped in a Mustang for the hell of it and won it by 2.5 seconds, but I mean, the Kia, a hugely different platform than anything else you've driven on SimTV or with the leagues that we've run. So why choose this challenge and not stay with the Mustang or the MX-5? Just to kind of differentiate a little bit and get something new?
So when Dave and Lou were coming up with what they wanted to do for the spring season, I begged those guys to throw the Kia in the mix because I have zero experience driving front-wheel drive anything fast. Not even an autocross, not video game, nothing. It's like a completely different animal to me. And I wanted them to throw that in there because the car I'm going to be racing this upcoming year is front-wheel drive. So I thought, if I learn anything driving this fake front-wheel drive car, and it transfers over to the actual car, I'm just already starting off with a step ahead. So thank you to Dave and Lou for putting that car in. I greatly appreciated that. And I think it provided some good fun. I know Ken and I had a bunch of fun. The car is really fun to race. Not that fun to lap, but it's really great racing it.
Was there anything that you think you learned that you could bring over to your racing series this year in Grid Life? Or is it just fun practice and a good way to unwind after a long day?
Yeah, so I started noticing that the way you I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to explain this without people scratching their heads after, but the way you come into the corner and mostly how you get back into the throttle, um, you never just snap back into the throttle, or you not even squish to full throttle like you would in a rear wheel drive car. You like roll it into the apex and you start like adding a little throttle as the wheels unwinding. So let's say the wheel's at 90 degrees and you give it a little bit of throttle, and then it's as the wheels opening up, you can just add a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more until it's basically all the way straight. Then you can be full throttle. And if you don't do it like that, you kind of just burn off the front tires and the Kia loses a bunch of pace. Now, I'm not sure how my car is going to handle that since it doesn't have 300 foot-pounds of torque. So I'll have to make that adjustment as it is. But the rolling through the apex with the angle, knowing that I can't fully get in the throttle before I open up the wheel, it just changes the line slightly. And that was kind of solidified in my head. So I'm hoping that transfers. But like I said, I don't have any real-world experience in front-wheel drive, so I guess I'll just have to see, but that's something in my back pocket that some muscle memory was built doing that.
We've talked about your 2019 plans before on Grid Life, so obviously you've got the Grid Life Touring Cup that you're doing this season, but what about the SCCA? Anything going on there, or is it just the Grid Life stuff this year?
Well, I'm attending their comp school this weekend. I'm super excited about that. It's going to be good fun. And I've looked at a couple of the virtual, or not the virtual Mars, the actual Mars series, and I might be able to make the one in July, but it's all pending, how much overtime I get at work, basically.
Absolutely, DJ. But for those who don't know about your 2019 plans, you got something really exciting going on with Grid Life, and you can go ahead and just explain that concisely for everyone out there.
Yeah, so I'm going to be racing a 8th Gen Civic Si in the Grid Life Touring Cup. It's a new road racing series that's coming out of Grid Life. So normally that's just, that's a bunch of track day bros and time attack uh, guys, but they're putting in wheel to wheel, mostly because in a couple of the sessions, some racers were bump drafting each other, and the spectators thought that that was really awesome. So they've always wanted to kind of do road racing, and the feedback from just those guys just driving around, bumping each other around, the spectators thought that was like the most amazing thing they've ever seen. But that's what an entire race would look like. So it kind of gave them the feedback to move ahead with this wheel to wheel series that they've been wanting to do. So it's going to be awesome because normally in club racing level, you don't have any kind of spectators or anything, but with the Grid Life series, there's already going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands of people there already there in this motorsports festival. And there's going to happen to be also wheel to wheel racing there. So that's going to be super exciting. I'm not sure how competitive I'll be. I know Eric Catil, who's in the Grid Life series, he's probably going to be the guy to beat. And for the Grid Life Midwest Festival and the Road America, I don't know what they're calling it, but basically Gingerman and Road America, we're planning on having you guys come out and announce real races just like you would with this. You're going to have a stream, multiple cameras. I don't know if you'll be able to switch. You might just be calling what you see on the screen, but I can't wait to see how awesome of a job you guys do. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, we're super excited about that, DJ. And again, we're hoping to be able to make all of those events this year and hopefully a couple more. I know that I was talking with Dave about potentially visiting Summit Point, so there's still some other opportunities out there to chase down as well. But DJ, you've opened up a lot of doors for us, and we're super excited to see you compete this year. And thanks for letting us be a part of it, and congratulations on another championship here on Sim TV.
You guys deserve every chance you get. Thank you.
All right, DJ, have a great night. All right, let's let's talk to David Alessi real quick before we head out and grab Dave Fitzgerald. Hey, David Alessi, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, we haven't talked to you a whole lot this season, so I thought we'd grab you one final time before the season's out. You drive the number 34 Mustang tonight. A fantastic battle between you, Tala, and Dave. Walk us through tonight's race and reflect on your season.
Man, yeah, tonight's race was a whole lot of fun. I think that was probably the most fun I've had all season long. Me and Dave all season have been going back and forth, and he usually manages to edge me out some kind of way, usually my mistake. But But tonight, I kind of tucked back for a little while behind him and Tala, saved my tires, and see he was starting to get, a little squirrely through some of the sections. Tires were starting to go, so I got a good run on him down the back straight and decided to take my shot, and it paid off.
For 2019, SCCA plans for you, David? What do you got going on? You got competition school or anything else like that going on?
No comp school this year. My dad, Lewis, races, so I crew chief for him the races, and then along with him and a couple of the other guys, we're heavily involved with the HPDE time trial program. So I'm at every one of those, standing up on the grid, working and grabbing some seat time at those when I.
All right. Well, we wish you good luck with all that in 2019, and hopefully we'll see you back here on SimTV in the future. David, it's a pleasure talking to you. We'll see you later, and have a great night.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks again for y'all's broadcast. Y'all do a great job.
Thank you very much, David. All right, now we're going to talk to Dave Fitzgerald, who puts all this together and so much more. Dave, welcome back to the booth. A good race for you. Didn't exactly finish where I know you wanted to finish, but you had a great battle regardless. And go ahead and reflect back on the season as well, too, with the new class structure and how everything played out, because it was spectacular to watch.
Well, first, thank you guys for putting on such a professional show for us hacks. As far as tonight's race, yeah, I was not really in the good frame of mind. I actually got some bad news before the race, but nevertheless, the race, it was a good race for first 5 or 7 laps. With Dave Alessi and Tala, I really enjoyed it. But as far as the season goes, I'm really pleased with the setup we had, the 3 classes. The Kia, it was unexpected. Everybody really liked it. Those guys that drove it, and I think it added a lot to the series. With the 3 classes. I think the participation fell off a little bit near the end, but that's understandable. With getting so close to our regular season. With our comp school starting this weekend and then the races in the first weekend of April. So, people are getting busy.
Absolutely. And we've been asking everybody what their 2019 plans are with the SCCA. Anything special for you going on other than typical duties? You got anything new this season for you?
Well, no, not anything new. I'm competing in my E30 in the probably in the sprint bracket road racing category at Summit Point, and then when we travel out to probably VIR, maybe New Jersey, I'll run in the ITS class. I'm just looking forward to that. I've done quite a bit of changes to the car over the winter. As of right now, it's sans engine. I've got one on a stand and one ready to go. But so I'm kind of panicking when I've only got 2 or 3 weeks left. But I'm just really looking forward to the season. I've had a pretty good year last year, and just want to continue that through 2019.
And at the end of 2019, are there any plans, or do you know of any plans for the future of what the iRacing League is going to do next season? Anything you can share with us yet?
No, we're still noodling that. We're not quite sure what format we'll take. We're definitely probably going to come back, like we usually do in the November-December timeframe after the season is over. I personally like the GT3s, GTEs, but the ethos of this league is the lower horsepower Miata, the Ford, now the Kia. So I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we've got a group of guys that'll probably noodle it over the next couple of months, and we'll come up with something. And hopefully you guys are available and can show the world how goofy we really are.
All right, Dave. Well, again, it was a huge pleasure working for you guys again, and we hope to be back with you again in the future. We want to wish you good luck to everything with you and everything related to you in 2019, and hopefully we'll see you back sooner than later, and also hopefully competing in that little GT3 GTE championship you're planning on doing in just a couple weeks. So hopefully I'll be there for that. But Dave, thanks a lot, and it was a pleasure working with you.
Thanks, guys. It really was a pleasure working with you and Finian and Dominic, and enjoy the rest of your week.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave. Have a good night.
Good night.
That's going to wrap up interviews here tonight. Finian, we saw great racing all around. But we're so used to that here with these guys, and this 3-class format really played out well this season. I'm curious to see what they're coming up with for next time.
Yeah, indeed, it was a great change, and definitely, I think a change that I would not be mad at seeing at all. But the Kia put on some fantastic racing. Honestly, all 3 classes put on some great racing. So they got a very great format. If they are going to change it, I'm completely fine with that. But I honestly wouldn't mind them changing it because it was some great racing this season.
And Dominic, we saw some great racing all season, like I mentioned to Finian, but this 3-class format really played out nicely. I think we saw some great action on track, and curious about next season for sure, but reflect on the season for us and on what you saw from your perspective.
So, Carl, I think that, as you mentioned, we saw a great racecraft from all 3 classes, the Kia, the Mustang, and the MX-5. And this season, with the addition of the Kia, I was curious to see how it would interact with both the Mustang and the Mazda because it is such a different car. And I was pleasantly surprised how well the drivers who decided to enter the Kia class adapted to the car, and how well drivers who decided to make the switch from perhaps the Mustang or the MX-5 were able to do well there. And it was also nice to see at the different circuits we visited the strengths that each of the cars possessed and how every car seemed to shine at a different part of the circuit. And it was nice to see how everyone interacted, and everyone here coming from, even though we all share the love of motorsports and racing, each of us come from a different area and found our niche in a different place. So it's cool to see how we all come together and compete against one another, all in the name of fun here in iRacing. And it's great to see that interaction.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for us for the Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League, at least for the next couple of months, as everyone here prepares for the 2019 season in SCCA competition. And again, if you're interested in any of the SCCA's ongoings this year, you can check out their website and also check out our sponsors, OG Racing and Radial Tire, in the description, as well as our Facebook, Twitter, and our website also linked down below. So we want to thank everybody for coming on board and watching. Again, another fantastic season of racing here. Tomorrow night, we have Scars Ferrari Challenge from Virginia International Raceway. That starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But from Road Atlanta down here in Georgia, that's going to be it for us from SimTV. I'm Kyle Heyer here with Finian DeCuna and Dominic Mandiel. We'll see you in a couple months. Have a great night.